If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge. From worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
One person that can attest to all that One Israel Fund does is the CEO of the best news source in Israel. There is no close second, jns.org. My dear friend Alex Traiman. Alex, good Monday morning, and I guess you can echo what Rappaport and I just said. How great is One Israel Fund?
Oh, One Israel Fund is an amazing organization, and they really help to bring security equipment to many of the communities in Judea and Samaria that are surrounded by Arabs. They make sure that those communities stay safe, and it's an important role that they play.
I know I'm annoying, Alex. I know I am, but I can't help it. Every time something happens with Joe Biden, I need to remind you and everybody else who thought for some crazy reason that Joe was pro-Israel and he wanted to help you guys on Monday, October the 9th of 2023. And I was adamant. I was not having any of it. He's not pro-Israel. So a couple days ago on Black Friday, there's a picture. It was on the cover of the New York Post of Joe Biden walking. He's got a book in his hand. The name of the book is The 100 Years War on Palestine, A History of Settler Colonial Conquest and Resistance, 1917 through 2017. And the book describes Israel as colonists. It's been met with Palestinian resistance. And basically, it is a shot at Israel, saying Israel, they're a bunch of colonists, and what they've done to the Palestinians is not right. That was the book that Joe Biden was carrying just a couple of days ago. When you see that, you can't believe it, right?
Well, I mean, do you really think that Joe Biden's reading books these days?
Well, who put that book in his hand? I'm just curious.
Exactly. Yeah, right. I mean, certainly the people that are surrounding Joe Biden are not people that think that Israel's what's good about the Middle East. They think that Iran is what's good about the Middle East, and they think that Israel's the problem. And they've been working tirelessly, as you've noted, in order to hamstring Israel's efforts in this war. And that's why the Netanyahu administration and Israel are really just counting down the days until Biden and his minions will be far in the back benches of issues that deal with the future of the state of Israel.
But now you see why I've been so angry the last 14 months at these Democrat Jews that are still in big numbers. Let's be honest. Donald Trump did very well with the Jewish vote, but he still got the minority of Jews to vote for him. Here in New York, the overwhelming majority of Jews, almost 57%, voted against Trump. And you know how angry I am at these people. I refuse to unify with them. And even now, again, here is another example of how not pro-Israel Joe Biden and the Democrats are, and Jews continue to vote. Explain this to me.
I mean, I think we talked about it before. I just think that for a lot of people that identify as Jews, they're culturally American. They happen to be Jewish. And issues relating to the state of Israel and Jewish concerns are really not on the top of their priority list. I think when you start looking at what people actually care about, if people do care about Israel, and if people do really care about the rise of anti-Semitism in New York and the intimidation on university campuses, when people put those issues being near the top of their list, then you start to see that the overwhelming majority of them actually do vote for Trump.
Let's talk about the possibility of not one now, but two ceasefires. Last week, you're on with us when they first mentioned the Hezbollah ceasefire, and you said what I feel too, which is, well, hold on a second. I was under the impression that Bibi and Israel was going to continue to fight until we had, quote, ultimate victory, and a ceasefire up in Lebanon would say, no, we're not there yet. There's not been an ultimate victory. Now they're talking about a ceasefire in Gaza as well. Do you feel the same about a ceasefire down there as you did last week about a potential ceasefire in the north?
Well, I want to use a football analogy with you here. because I know how how you start covering the New York Giants, and if you think about the war between Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon, the first quarter of that game, Hezbollah, they're kicking several field goals. They're hurting Israeli cities in the north, but they're not firing, the long-range precision-guided missiles that they have, but they're doing some damage. They come in the first quarter, they take Israel by surprise. They kick like 3 field goals in the quarter. Israel was fighting back. They had a drive. They kick a field goal too. Come the second quarter, Israel comes out and they start scoring touchdowns. They have the pagers blow up, the walkie-talkies the next day. They kick a field goal. They take out the number 2 and Fuad Shukr. They score a touchdown, and they take out Nasrallah in Beirut. And, but Hezbollah, they're still firing. They kick a couple field goals. And then in the third quarter, you've got the situation where Hezbollah comes out and they're scoring touchdowns again. They kill 2 people in Nahariya. They hit a synagogue in Haifa. They hit a kindergarten in Haifa. They had the drone that hit Netanyahu's house in Caesarea. And Israel's busy at this point kicking a couple field goals. And, we're halfway through the third quarter right now, and it's all of a sudden it's starting to rain. The situation's tough. And you just need one of those drives where Israel takes 8 minutes off the clock in 14 plays. Even if they only kick a field goal at the end, because in the fourth quarter, that your secret weapon, Donald Trump, is coming into office. But that's not what happened. And it seems as though Israel at the worst threw an interception over here. If not, they decided to punt it away with a short field. And so you wonder why they did that. And the reports are that the reasons why they did that is 2. Number one, that Israel's running out of weapons, and that they needed the Biden administration to release the weapons. Now, first of all, that's pretty damning indictment of the Biden administration, as we were talking about earlier. Second, that's not exactly the message that you want to be sending to your enemies, because you're basically telling them that this war of attrition strategy, dragging out the conflict, works, and that Israel doesn't have the weapons that it needs to finish the job, and it is relying on the United States for its security, and therefore it's not really the strong force in the region that it says it was. And then the other one is that Biden might have allowed a resolution in the United Nations General Assembly to pass against Israel. Now, I can understand why Israel wouldn't want that. They're talking about a UN General Assembly resolution that would state that Israel is basically, a threat to global peace, that there should be global arms embargoes against Israel, and it would be the forerunner to sanctions against the state of Israel. So that's obviously something that Israel didn't want also. So they felt like, look, let's give in a little bit. Let's declare a ceasefire where Israel will have to draw down over a period of about 60 days. And then at the end of the drawdown period, guess what? Our secret weapon comes into the game, Donald Trump, and we can reevaluate. But there's no guarantees there that the Biden administration might not allow the UN Security Council resolution to pass. And Israel does want to get its hostages back. So it could be that if there's an opportunity now to declare some kind of a ceasefire along those same terms that gets some of these remaining hostages out, it'll be a big win, and then Israel will be able to evaluate the situation later.
One of these hostages we just saw in a video a couple of days ago, Idan Alexander. He's been there for over 420 days. At one point late in the video, he starts to cry with Hebrew messages to both Prime Minister Netanyahu and President-elect Donald Trump. He says time is running out. He's only 20. I believe he's out of Tenafly, New Jersey, a local kid. And, again, these videos keep coming. So, yes, Sinwar may be dead. The top 4 or 5 guys for Hamas may be dead. But as you pointed out accurately last week, Iran is still kind of running the show. They've got hostages. They've got videos. Somebody a couple of days ago said that an intelligence person went to Donald Trump, and he said he believes there are as many as 60. That's a pretty big number. 60 hostages that are still alive. What about this Idan Alexander video? How horrifying is that for the folks in Israel?
Definitely horrifying. I mean, this is the psychological warfare game that Hamas has been playing since the beginning of the war. This is the reason why they took the hostages. They focus tested this in Israel. They know that the hostages tear at the heartstrings of Israelis. And they also know that this is the one area where they can put the blame on Netanyahu, because people have been very satisfied with Netanyahu's handling of the war, with the exception of his inability so far to get back the second half of the hostages. He did get back over 100 hostages released early in the war. The reason why they were able to get those hostages released was because it was clear that Israel was really doing a ton of damage inside the Gaza Strip, and that the United States wasn't able to slow Israel down. Israel ran through the red lights. So it's what Netanyahu has been saying. It's only through the show of extreme force that you have the opportunity to negotiate for the release of hostages. But if Hamas senses that Israel's on the ropes, they won't release them. Now, if they sense that the situation is about to change, Israel's about to bring in its secret weapon, the Trump administration, and weapons are going to come in, and Israel will be turned loose to do whatever they want to do inside Gaza. So Hamas has a lot of incentive right now to turn around and say, hey, maybe it's better that we give these hostages back before Trump comes into office, so they can preserve themselves and not be thoroughly destroyed.
One more hostage, another local kid out of Plainview, Long Island, Omer Nutra. Turns out that he may be as dead all the way dating back to that first day, October the 7th. Of course, they've got his body. We want that body back. But it does look like Nutra was killed all the way back on October the 7th, a Long Island kid. If you go to my social media right now, my friend Mazi Pillip, listening right now out there on Long Island, put out a very, very nice post, Long Island in mourning this morning, and you guys are as well. Omer Nutra, turns out he is gone and may have been killed all the way back on October the 7th.
Yeah, well, Hamas, they didn't just steal live hostages. They also took bodies. I mean, so many people were killed, 1,200 people killed that day, and if they had a body, they took it back also, because that's also part of the psychological warfare. For Israelis, for Jews, we care even about the body. We want all of our bodies to have a proper burial, to get closure. And unfortunately, there were many people that were killed on that day that were missing and were believed to be held hostages. The Nutra parents, they had spoken at the Republican National Convention. They spoke at the Israeli American Council Conference in America that I was at, the Republican Jewish Coalition conference that I was at as well. And, it was just so painful to see parents just pleading with the world, to do whatever they could to help them get their son back. Unfortunately, they didn't get the return that they wanted, but hopefully now they'll get some closure and be able to move on.
Alex, as always, excellent job. Not a lot of good news this morning. I guess ceasefires maybe good news, I don't know, but hostage videos and dead hostages, not exactly the way you want to start the Monday after Thanksgiving, but this is the reality of what's going on in Israel right now, and that's why it was so important that President Trump won, and this lousy, Jew-hating, Israel-hating administration is on their way out. Alex Traiman, I love you, pal. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Sid.
Alex Traiman right there, the CEO of JNS.org, with some news out of Israel this morning.